Alright, with the frontside flip, you need good kickflips and good frontside 180s. You should be able to catch your kickflips pretty well, and with your frontside 180s, you need to be able to land bolts, or preferably you should be able to land slightly on the nose to pivot if you have to. But if you start like this and you land like this and your weight's still on the tail, that's not going to work for you. You need to be able to get some height, you need to be able to keep them controlled, and you need to be able to keep your weight forward. Alright, so with the front side flip, you want to set up about like this, just like a kick flip normally, but there are a whole lot of ways to do this. I've seen pretty much anything in this range, you know, as long as you keep these feet balanced. If this one's hanging off a lot this way, you need to hang this one off a lot too. But I've seen kickflip or frontside flips like this, but I find them a lot easier about right here. So try out different things, see what works out well for you. But that's a good place to start at least. So if you just try to do a frontside 180 and a kickflip at the same time, it won't work at all. And that's what most trick tips I've seen tell you to do. If you try to frontside 180 and kickflip at the same time, the board will fly out and you'll land with just the tips of your toes. And that happened to me for a long time. I kept trying it because it was always close, is the thing. You know, you almost land it every time, and you know, you feel like you're almost there, but you're not. It's a lot different than how than the way that I found will work. With this trick, there are a lot of different ways to do it, just like there are a lot of ways to set up. Some people do them almost vertical and it goes between their legs. I do them more flat, but you know, there are a lot of different ways. Try out different ways, see what works best for you. Alright, so for me, when I start with my shoulders facing forward. That way I only really need to spin about 90. You know, my shoulders only needed to go 90. So it's a little bit of a head start. Alright, so you start like that and you pop. And the trick for me, this is the thing that helped me the most, is I throw the tail out this way. Now, if you watch the ones I did, or if you watch anyone frontside flip, it won't look like that. But the problem with just watching someone else do a trick is you can't tell how it feels. When I first saw some of my frontside flips on film, I was surprised that the tail wasn't flying out because it felt like it was. Now this ground is really rough, so it might be somewhat different on a smoother surface, but when I start to pop, I throw the tail out this way as hard as I can, and you know, out and forward so I can get it to spin. And I shift all my weight to the nose, and it feels like the tail is flying out, and the board spins like this, spins with the front truck as the pivot point, and it stays right here. And I flick, and it's not hard to flip if your weight is completely forward. If your weight's back, you start to flip and the board spins and just hits your foot. But if your weight's forward, you have all this room. So that helps with that a lot. And that's my main tip. Just when you start to pop, you throw the tail out, you keep your weight forward right here, and that way you can flick, and you can try to pivot out if you have to, depending on how much height you get on them. It's not completely necessary, but when you're first learning them, that'll help a lot. And that's the main idea here, to throw the tail out, to jump towards the nose, and that'll help keep the board under you pretty well. So watch the ones I did and give them a try.